Thanks for joining us, Matt. It's really looking forward to speaking to you over the next 15 minutes or so about your history in the league. And obviously you've been there quite a while. Talk us through your journey through the league and kind of in your words and how you see it. A little timeline, as it were, for those uneducated.
Yeah, so I've been in League One probably the entire time since it started. The only season I've missed was the two seasons, 2017 when I was in Australia, and then the first year when League One initially started. But ever since then, I've played in every single season in League One. First started with Sanjak, so I was there for 3 years before going to Australia. And then actually within League One, I got to know some coaches. A coach figured out that I had the quality to go abroad, sent me to Australia, played there for a year. And then after Australia, I had some other opportunities playing on the AMF Team Canada futsal team. And then I also played for the University Team Canada as well in Taiwan. And then after that, came back, heard about CPL was starting, so wanted to get back into League One. So ever since then, I started with Darby 2018 and just still been with Darby and still am with Darby. So yeah, I've been with League One for a long time. And I know I was talking to Dino actually a couple months ago, and he said, I think I might be the most capped player in League One too. So I know he still has to figure out those stats as well. But again, the League One has just been a great pathway, not only for me, but everyone, right? Coming into the league, it was great starting with Sanjaks, not one of the top teams, but a good development team that was building the youth within their academy. And then, yeah, moving on to Darby just has been a great starting point.
Fantastic. So, what was your kind of initial impression when you first heard about LNO 10 years ago, and you were thinking this is something that I might be interested in? What was your initial impression, and how did that first season kind of go?
Well, I was playing in the States, so I was there for 2.5 years before transferring to Canada. And we always heard about semi-pro league starting. So League One was starting with it was going to be some ex-pros, some pros in the league and stuff. So I was always very excited. I was reaching out to many coaches to see which would be the best fit. And as a goalkeeper, personally, I think I wanted to be on a team that where I'd get action, right? Where I wanted to get shots, I wanted to make saves, I wanted to be that guy that would stand on his head and keep a team in there in the game, right? So I'm hearing about the league, talking with friends, talking with coaches. It was going to be a very solid league with pros, people that wanted to come back from Division One or OUA and play in the summer league and then move back on into professional opportunities. But just the level has been amazing. Every year, I think it's just been improving. And I think this year, especially with promotion, relegation, and the two divisions, it's just been amazing just to see the League One grow, right? It just first started, I think, when I was first in the league, it was only 10 teams or 12 teams. And now there's two divisions, right? So it just shows the growth of the league and how many teams have stayed in the League One, how many teams have dropped out. It just I've been there, so I've seen everything within League One, right? So I'm a vet of League One, I think I usually call it.
And how has the level on the field changed? Player ability, has it changed over the last 10 years? And if so, how and what have you kind of witnessed?
Yeah, I think when I first started in the league, it was very just go, 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 right? It was everyone was just trying to put on a show. I think it was who was the most athletic team, who was the fastest team. But now, as it's kind of progressed, and even the last couple of years, it's just been all right. The most quality, right? Who has the top players? Who has the most D1 players, or who has the players that are going into CPL and stuff? But the quality, I think, has gotten much better since I first started. It's a lot more possession style teams that we're playing against. They're low block teams and stuff. But again, when I first started with Sanjaks, there was a lot of teams. It's all right. Who's the most athletic? Who's the team that's going to work the hardest, right? Because there was no CPL when I first started in League One. It was just League One and that's it, right? So a lot of players were just like, all right, what do I do after League One? So like myself, it's just like, all right, let's go to Australia, right? Let's go abroad. And then once we start hearing about CPL, people are like, okay, let's get into a different game model, more possession style that will fit CPL quality, right?
And you mentioned then Australia and the fact that you've made contacts in League1 Ontario and they helped you over into get new opportunities overseas, and that's happened a lot ever since you did it. Talk us through that experience and what, as well as the contact, how League1 Ontario actually helped you.
Yeah, so just building connections, right? I've been in the league for a long time, so many coaches know about me. And how I got that opportunity, I'll go more in depth. So the jersey over here is from a League1 All-Star. That was 2019. I was in the League1 All-Star game, and our coach was actually coaching Durham United. And then he figured out my name and said, "There's a team in Australia that needs a goalkeeper." I'm like, all right, here's my highlight video. Here's my CV. It's a little bit about me. Send it to them. And I think in a month, I was on a plane going to Australia, right? So just gaining those connections through League1 and through coaches has just helped not only myself, but many players that I know they did that same sort of pathway. But gaining those connections just within the coaches, within players, and now I'm trying to do the same sort of thing, right? Just trying to help players, the younger players in League1, trying to send them either get them into CPL or even getting them abroad as well.
So part of your role, you see, not just keeping a clean sheet, but actually developing members of your team.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's my sort of role now. So I am more of a player coach now. So I am playing still with Darby, but I'm also the head goalkeeper coach for Whitby. So from U8 to about U or League1, I guess I have around 55 to 60 keepers that are just under me that I'm more into that coaching role now. And the same sort of thing, right? I kind of want to give back and give those kids the same opportunity I had, but maybe even better, right? Even better opportunity and get them into that next level as well.
Great. And have you taken things from League1 level that you now kind of implement in your coaching, i.e., and tell other footballers?
Yeah, so I've worked with a lot of coaches as well, right? Playing in League1, I've worked with a handful of coaches with Darby, and then I had a coach Laza at Sanjax as well. So I've kind of put everyone's kind of coaching methodology, coaching philosophy into my own, which has kind of helped me because I've seen it worked at the semi-pro level, right? So I'm like, if it works there, it should be able to work for the club level goalkeepers as well. But just trying to see my goalkeepers grow and develop is just puts a smile on my face too. And even those ones that are 18, 19, they're like, Coach Matt, I want to be your backup one day on League1. I'm like, no, you can take my spot, right? One day. So that's what I try and get through. And especially with Whitby and Darby, that partnership we have is just seeing that pathway that we have, right? So an OPDL keeper going into a League1 reserve team and then eventually going to the first team and then taking my spot, right? So that would be something, a goal that would put a smile on my face and something I would love to see as well, right? So
Fantastic. So you mentioned the AllStar Game. I'm sure that is a highlight. And are there any others that have kind of stood out to you over the last decade?
so yeah, the League1 All-Star was amazing. Back then, that was East versus West. So League1 had the East versus West teams. So they picked the best players of the East and then the best players of the West. At the time, I was playing with Darby, and again, our coach was actually Bobby, who currently coaches for Forge. So he was our All-Star coach. But again, just being in that environment for a week, right? We trained for a week, and then we had the game on the weekend. It's just and I think thinking about it right now, 50% of those players that were on my team were, I think, still currently playing CPL or even higher as well. It was just training with those qualities, and that's what League1 brings, right? It brings the best of the players together on one pitch on one summertime league, and something I enjoy. Other achievements, Sanjax, growing up, it was a good opportunity. Again, like I said, as a goalkeeper, I got a lot of shots, which was good. Helped develop my game. And then coming with Darby, we're a much younger team, developing Whitby products through our Darby team. So being an older player on that team, I kind of have that captain role to try and lead those younger players of Whitby through Darby as well. But Yeah, the AllStar Game was probably the biggest one. And then I guess just building those connections and using League One to go abroad into Australia and other avenues as well.
Nice. And challenges then? We've talked about highlights, but what are challenges that you've overcome?
Well, challenges haven't won the league, right? So that's probably one I would probably want to tick off the box before I move on to League One. But I guess challenges. A game's always changing too, right? So always adapting to different teams that you're playing. Again, like I said earlier, when I first started in the league, I think it was more just physical, right? Who's the fastest team? Who want to work the hardest, right? But now when you're playing different clubs, like we have all this technology now, right? So we're like, all right, this player gets the ball the most out wide. He always wants to go on his right foot. So there's a lot more preparation now, especially in League One. And even just scouting teams are like, all right, this team keeps the ball. They're going to have the ball 90% of the game, right? So let's just sit in our low block. Let's play our style and then let's try and counter them. But again, with all this technology that Ontario soccer has given us um, to use within the league has helped us. But yeah, it has changed since the start I've been in the league.
And has that had an impact in the environment at your club, Darby, as well?
But yeah, I've been with Darby since 2018. I guess we're 2024 now. When we first started, it was the same sort of thing, right? It was more physical, more speed, and now it's just we have Herman and Patrick Tobo as our coaches, so they want to keep the ball. We want to possess more, right? We don't want to be that team that just all right, let's just sit back and let the other team do whatever they want, right? We kind of want to be on the front foot. We want to manage the game and stuff, right? So we've had a handful of coaches at Darby since I've started, and it's just been adjusting to each coach's philosophy or methodology, right? But again, Herman and Patrick Tobo are our coaches, and Patrick Tobo has played in the World Cup. Um, Herman has played for his Cameroon national team too. So we have two of top quality coaches right now that are just leading Darby, and then hopefully get Darby into, like I said, try and win that league.
So yeah, I was going to ask actually. I know you've mentioned about your aspirations from a coaching perspective and trying to, um, you know, develop the player that's going to take your spot. But on the field, your aspirations in League1 Ontario, and you, what are they as well as winning the league? Do you want to develop further? Is there other things that you want to take off?
Yeah, so the first one, I think winning the league, right? Very competitive person. I keep telling Darby, one more year, I need to win the league, right? I've been in it so long. I think that's the main one, right? I've won goalkeeper of the year second team. I forgot what year. I won it a couple times, second and third team goalkeeper of the years. But again, I think winning the league is the main one, right? If you ask any coach, right, they could tell like I'm here. I want to win the league, right? And I'm also not that person too that wants to go to one of those top teams and all right, I win the league, right? I kind of want to do it with the club I've stayed with and built, right? I've been with Darby since we started, and I think that's the reason why I kind of want to give back and win it with Darby as well. But again, I would say I think winning the league and then probably winning goalkeeper of the year as well, and then should be a good League One career, I'd call it.
Good, and obviously, 10 years is a big milestone for the league, and it's coming up to quite a pivotal point. What with the restructuring and promotion and relegation, is that something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I love the idea. With Darby being in the second division, not so much, but again, I just love the whole pathway, right? Because now you have teams fighting for their lives. It just I don't want to go second division or I need to stay in the top division, the premier, right? So again, our goals as Derby, right? And being in the second one, we want to get promoted, right? So that's our end goal, and then ultimately winning the cup as well, right? So again, I think it's a great system, and it's going to do very well, and just create more competitiveness within the league as well, right? Before it was just like, all right, you play this game, and you play 20 games at the end. Some games are top games, some are just mediocre. But again, I think this one, every game's it's a must win, right? must win and see what happens from there. But again, it'll change the impact of the league as well, and just keep growing the league as well and going for another 10 more years.